Hi, welcome. My name is Dale McCluskey, and on this video, again, continuing my discussion on certain tools, I want to take a few minutes to talk about the muzzle, okay? And here you see a muzzle. This is a mesh muzzle, okay? It allows a dog to breathe easily through its design. Also, the dog's able to even drink water through here, okay? Based on having a little bit of space, so it's not meant to just clamp the dog's mouth so tight that they can't have some water, be comfortable. But what it does is it prevents the dog to initiate the full bite reflex. Okay, so definitely is intended to keep things safe when it comes to handling certain dogs. Now the issue here about muzzles, again, people look at muzzles, is really understanding through this system of training. Everything's about moving forward, okay, in terms of creating relationship change. So everything you use, whether it's certain tools, could be using the crate to help with structure, or even using a muzzle with certain protocols to keep things safe, because that's the point, is keeping things safe. It's all about not just engaging in a situation of control, but change at the same time. So things move forward. That's the good news. So anything you use in terms of a device, it's temporary. So people's feelings sometimes will get in the way of that, because they look at things, that's terrible, I don't want to use certain things with my dog. But understand, it's about understanding the issue about where you're at in a relationship. Understanding the issue about control, and dealing with certain dogs that are holding a lot of control, okay, it can really present a bad situation. Because here's the thing, once a dog bites somebody, bites another dog, bites a human, okay, it leaves things, kind of up in the air and out of control, in terms of what could happen next, in terms of liability issues. So again, when I get involved with certain situations, the first thing I do is make sure things are safe. They say, okay, this situation is fixable, but here's what we need to do. These are protocols, because it's understanding where we're at and preventing bad outcomes. Okay, so again, it's all understanding about the context of control and change at the same time. But again, this is where the muzzle, okay, is a useful tool, okay, to prevent biting situations. Because here's the other thing is, and this is the thing to understand about a process, is that when you're engaging a process, say using treats or using certain motivators, or working within the parameters of this learning narrative, is it leaves the door wide open for dogs to hold control. Okay, so a dog may not initiate a bite, but they will at a certain point, because the process is not moving the relationship forward. So in this system of training, you have all the necessary ingredients, okay, based on this system of training, advocating differently, but in a good way, in terms of specific interaction. So it really reveals the truth of what's happening, okay? So even when you're putting a muzzle on the dog, based on them knowing and understanding, okay, that you're starting to, bring them into a different role, okay, they will start to, not like, okay, certain tools, certain ways, okay? And so that gives you information as well. It's all about the dog coming into a level of acceptance, even with the muzzle. Okay, the first order of business is to get the dog to accept the muzzle based on you being in control. And even though I say that, it's not about doing things unreasonable or in a way that's going to bring high conflict into the relationship. When you're engaged in a process and you're interacting in specific ways, it's doing things in a very specific way, so the dog is going to come into agreement with what you're doing. Okay, that's important, because it's all about advocating in the best interest of your dog. And again, I switch this right to my parenting example. Okay, in terms of, say, if you have dealing with a very selfish teenager, you may have to do certain things, say with grounding them, advocating a certain way that they're not going to like, right? They're going to be resistant to it, but you're doing it for the greater good of the relationship, okay, in terms of being a parent. So you're not doing things that are intended to be abusive or anything like that. It's all understanding that that's just how things have to play out. And so you can work through it. You work through the process, you come out on the other side, in terms of having a healthy relationship. So here's the same thing. Any tools you use, it's about how you use those tools. But again, the method itself, how it covers off, the dog comes into agreement with what you're doing, tools you're using, because it makes sense to the dog. Understand? So it opens the dog up to acceptance, okay, based on the fact that you're being consistent in what you're doing to advocate for change. So again, using a tool such as the muzzle, it's important, when you're dealing with situations where dogs are holding a certain level of control, especially once you get a sense of the level of control the dog's holding. That's another important thing, is this system of training, it truly reveals where you're standing in the relationship, which is important. Because coming right out of the starting gate, you want to know, you have to have an understanding of where you're at to make sure you're not being deceived and suddenly something bad happens. And this is very common. So again, the system of training, it reveals, it gives you information all along, every step of the way, but also changes, okay, the perception of the dog every step of the way. So coming out on the other side, you can bring any dog back from the edge, even really aggressive dog situations, which I handle often. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. I'll be more than happy to help you out. Thanks for watching.